The following is a Furnished Brothers production. Introducing your host, Rob.
Put your best players out there, Mike.
And Ryan.
He missed the net, and it somehow went in.
This is the Talking Buds podcast.
That's right, we are back. Episode 23 of the Talking Buds podcast. Ryan, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Choo. Get on the train. We're headed straight to negative town, buddy.
Oh boy, that was rough. Little to no positives to take out of that game, pal.
No, dude, you just want to hop on here and just go nuts after watching that. Just so frustrating. Same themes we've been talking about week after week of what is wrong with this hockey team. But you know what? I think this episode, I'm just going to try and look at this game as just like a one-off. And regardless of the style of play or who they were playing, there's not many times we've hopped on this podcast and they've gotten dummied like that. So I'll cut them a break on the Western road trip, coming back, playing a tough team.
They had the flu going through the team too. Like Kapanen didn't play because he was sick. Hyman played like nothing. He played going into the third period. Greg Millen said he just played like 3.5 minutes or something. And then he didn't play at all for the third period.
This game is easier for me to digest because I know in my heart that we're not catching the Bruins for home ice. So like I don't care how many like games you think they're gonna win to get that position, but for me, I just do not believe that they are going to overtake that second spot. So I'm just gearing up for that game one in TD Garden, buddy. I am just gearing up.
All right, let's do a full recap here. So since we last talked, Leafs on the Western road trip, 5 of 6 points, not bad. Disappointing result in Vancouver last week with blowing the lead, but you know what? A win's a win. 5 of 6 points. You come back feeling pretty good. Got a big game tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. First place Tampa Bay Lightning. Before the game, it's just like this absolute love fest between the coaches. John Cooper, ahead of the game today, had this to say about one Mitchell Marner. He is as smart a player as this league has not only seen this year, but has ever seen. What do you think about that, Ryan?
That's just you know what? You could take that seriously. You could try to just pull out the eras and be like, oh, who's Mitch Marner better than over the past 50 years? Like, it's just, to me, it's just a coach. He probably admires Marner as a player and thinks he's really good. So he's just throwing compliments out there. John Cooper's a guy who's like just a nice guy. He doesn't really seem like the type of guy who would take a dig at anyone. And he seems like a guy who would pump guys' tires with compliments. So I don't look into anything with that comment. It's just a coach kind of speaking about another team's top player.
And then conversely, on the other side, Mike Babcock called Nikita Kucherov the most dangerous player in the league, which is pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's just straight facts, buddy.
Yep. All right,
that's straight facts.
All right, let's get in and review this game. So Leafs come out wearing their road white unis at home. And they later said that it's because the Lightning are playing in Detroit on Thursday, and the Red Wings had asked for them to wear their blue unis. So they only NHL teams apparently don't travel with both sets of uniforms? Is this like minor Adam AA?
NHL franchises just don't have the capability of carrying 2 uniforms on the road. They can pay guys millions of dollars, but they are unable to carry multiple sweaters on the road. Okay, that's
It's like when you
that's
played,
kind of weird.
It's like when you played Minor Atom AA and the trainer brought the wrong set of unis, and you had to go over and knock on the other team's dressing room door and be like, "We only have our whites."
Yeah, well, you know what? It used to be the home whites. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
know,
throwback. It used to be the home whites.
I kind of like the home whites.
Yeah, I don't care about that stuff, to be honest with you. I just don't care.
I've said, not to get off track here, but I've said forever that the whole, like, the NHL is ridiculous when it comes to, like, rules with uniforms. It's like when the Leafs play the Habs, I don't care what building they're in, the Leafs should be in blue and the Habs should be in red. Period. Like, the Chicago Blackhawks are coming to Scotiabank Arena on Wednesday night. The Leafs should be in blue. The Blackhawks should be in red. Period.
Original 6 colors going head to head is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I could use a third uni for the Leafs right now.
Yeah, they haven't really done that, eh? Like, you thought that they'd eventually roll one out, but, like, they're wearing the St. Pat's ones this Sunday against Ottawa because it's St. Patty's Day, but, like, they don't really have a third uni that they bring into rotation from time to time, and they had those in the previous years.
Yeah, well, I think it's just them as an organization being like, we're an original 6 team. We got these 2 uniforms. We're the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this game. So before the game starts, we find out that Kasperi Kapanen is ill. He has the flu. So, and Hyman also had it, but Hyman's still dressed. So William Nylander moves up from the third line to the second line to play with Auston Matthews, and you're thinking, all right, maybe this will get Matthews going, and we'll start to see these two guys build some chemistry, kind of the way like Marner and Tavares have spent all season building chemistry. So game starts. I actually didn't hate the Leafs game in the first period. I thought they played all right. But it's just the same old story, right? Like defensive liabilities and turnovers, and you make 2 defensive miscues, and Tyler Johnson and Anthony Cirelli, boom, boom, in the net. And it's 2-0 going into the second period.
Yeah, it's just what really stood out to me tonight more than anything with these 2 hockey teams playing each other is the difference on the back end. Like,
Ryan,
the Leafs are not even in the same league as this hockey team on the back end.
That Ozhiganov Marincin pairing makes my eyes bleed.
I just feel bad for Marincin at this point. I've spent however long he's been a Maple Leaf ripping on the guy, and I feel like everyone's done it too because it's obvious that he doesn't belong out there. But now I'm at the point where I'm almost blaming the organization for continuing to put him in that position because it's pretty clear by now that he is just not an NHL defenseman. He is probably one of the worst defensemen I've ever seen handle a puck. Like,
yeah, he's pretty brutal, man.
Yeah,
like,
he's
you're right. He
doesn't belong out there.
It's past the point of just dumping on the guy, and it's just now you just like.
I almost feel bad for him at this point. I almost feel for him because he's put in a position game after game that he just cannot succeed in. And I'm done blaming the guy. I just feel bad for him at this point.
Meanwhile, Justin Hull's sitting up in the press box and can't get a sniff because Captain Know-It-All behind the bench has just got it all figured out. Anyway, we'll get to him in a second. So they come out for the second period, Ryan, and they are flat. Tyler Johnson scores his second of the game, and it's 3-0. 30 seconds later, Tampa shot from the point goes in off Auston Matthews, 4-0. Freddie Anderson gets the hook. In comes Garrett Sparks. Ryan, I think we can both agree that this game was not necessarily a reflection of Freddie Anderson.
No, not at all. And I'm happy they got him out of there. But don't give me this. On the broadcast, they mentioned, well, at least he's gonna go have a rest now. And it's like, oh my, come on. It's like going into game 1 of the playoffs, we're going to be so thrilled about the period and a half of rest that Freddie got. So he'll be ready to go. Like, just don't, the whole Freddie rest thing is a conversation of itself as well. But
oh yeah, no, we'll get into it. So I made a bunch of notes as anytime we do a pod after a game, I always make a bunch of notes while I'm watching the game. And so this is the point where Sparks just went in and it's 4-0, and I have Kadri line is brutal. Now, I'm going to give Nazem Kadri, I'm going to cut him a bit of slack because guy's just coming back from a concussion, and it's going to take him a few games to get his legs back and his timing and all that, but it's going to probably end up taking him longer than that because he has the 2 absolute anchors as his wingers.
Yep. The two good pros.
Oh yeah. The two guys who do it right every single day.
Yeah. No matter the production, the good pros are always gonna find their way in some sort of top 9 role.
So after that, 8-11 of the second period, Auston Matthews comes alive and scores a beauty goal, and you're thinking like, all right, there we go. I mean, it's 4-1. Chances are they're probably not coming back, but Matthews scores a nice goal. Maybe get him going a little bit. We talked about it last week on the show, Ryan. We might talk about it again a little later, but he's been struggling a little bit lately. So I was good. I was happy to see that. And then after that, in the biggest dumpster fire miscue of the season by far, the Maple Leafs are on a power play, allow a shorthanded 3-on-1, leaving Morgan Rielly and Garrett Sparks completely out to dry, while everyone goes and makes a horrible change, and boom, it's in the net, 5-1. The game is officially out of reach.
Embarrassing. Just embarrassing play. Just embarrassing line change. I've never even said that in my life, but it's like, what were they doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. Yeah. And then the second period comes to an end and they're booed off the ice. First time that's happened all season. And you know what? Rightfully so. Yeah, 17 giveaways in the first 2 periods, Ryan. 17 giveaways.
Yeah, you gotta just... I know I said earlier, like, maybe I'll cut them a break because of the road trip and they're tired, but, like, when you're coming out and playing the best team in the league and the top team of your division, I know you're not catching them, but you would think that would pump you up a little bit for the game to be like, let's go, we got Tampa tonight. It's not some game down in Carolina that we got to get stoked for. It's like, this is the Lightning. They're coming into our barn. Let's get fired up.
Well, this has been the problem with them all year, Ryan. This has been the problem with them all year.
But it's just, you know what? They just got smoked. And there's nothing we can do about it now. And just guess we just got to throw the game tape out, burn it, move on to the next one.
They come out for the third period, and it's just more of the same from the second. Cedric Paquette scores 6-1, and you're thinking, oh my God, can this baby just come to an end already? And then, Ryan, with 5 seconds left, just as he's done all season, Connor Brown with a big goal with 5, and the Leafs lose 6-2.
Oh my God. Oh, I know what's sad too is at the end of the year, that goal, we're not going to remember where that goal came from or when it happened. It's just going to be on his career record. So I'm like, oh, Connor Brown had a couple goals this year. Little do we know they're just all useless, non-clutch goals that are just mean nothing. Guys just lost out there, man. I almost want to have a little speak. Like, I want to talk to him and be like, what happened to you, man? Like, used to be an offensive player who we were all excited about. Like, oh, we got Connor Brown. We got Connor Brown for the next couple years. Now he's just an anchor.
Well, Ryan, this game was so disappointing on so many levels. It's like the way the Leafs played, just completely dominated. The fact that Boston finally lost in regulation last night and they had a chance to sort of close the gap and cut the 4-point lead that Boston has to 2, and they failed tonight, man. They failed. Like, they should be... This is, like, as disappointing of a loss. And it's like, listen, they're playing Tampa, like, the runaway favorite. But it's just like, man, like... to your point that you said earlier, it's like, can you not get up and play a little better than this? Like, it's just... Like where do you even start with this? Like, who do you put that on? You put it on the coach? Do you put it on the players? Because it's like, listen... We're gonna talk about Mike Babcock, and I'm the first one to criticize Mike Babcock, okay? But at some point, it's like you guys gotta get yourselves fired up. Like, you have to find it within yourself to be like, this is a big game. We need these 2 points. This is a chance for us to go out there and make a statement and show everybody that Boston's not just going to dummy us out in the first round, and we're not the distant third in the Atlantic Division. And they failed tonight, Ryan. They failed.
You know what drives me nuts about this hockey team is the lack of forward help in the defensive zone. Like, we're always on the defense, and yeah, the defense isn't very good, and they make some ill-advised passes and bad giveaways, but when you're this depleted on the back end and you're relying on AHL hockey players to take up minutes for your hockey team, you think you would just forget about the stretch pass for a game, be like, boys, let's just all get down to the D zone, support each other, have 2 guys on a puck, get the puck, and let's break out down the ice and see what happens. Like, there's always a guy just blowing the zone so early, and then the D tries to make an outlet pass up the wall and he just misses the pass and it's up to the other point. And then it's like, where's the forwards? Like, where are they? Like, there's no help. I don't get it. It's not always about the defense going back behind the goal line and getting the puck and finding the guy. Like, there has to be a guy there or some support for these guys. Like, it makes it seem so much worse than it actually is. And I think their D is just a lack of talent, and I don't think they're good enough anyway. But if you really watch the game, just watch the forward effort and the support in their own end. It is non-existent, and it's extremely frustrating. Let's not blow the zone early. Let's work to get the puck back. Like,
Do you just attribute that to, like, a lack of experience and a lack of maturity? Like, they just can't in a game be real, like, recognize what's going on? Because, like, listen, there's 3 coaches back there. Okay, these guys aren't dumb, so they got to be back there saying this. So it's like, why can't they make these adjustments when they're out there on the ice?
I'm so, like, confused at this point though, because it's like, okay, you could blame it on the coach for systems, but it's like, all these hockey teams come in and play the Leafs, so the Leafs go on the road and play other hockey teams. And the Leafs sometimes just get by because they're so much more skilled. You saw it in Edmonton, even though they almost blew that game. But they're better than Edmonton. They're going to beat the Edmontons. But when all these good playoff teams roll in and they play the Leafs, like, you really start to understand just the one-dimensional hockey team that this is. Like, every player is cut out of the exact... Why? You think there would be one guy who's different, but there's not. Like, maybe Hyman, but Hyman in his own zone isn't very good either. He can forecheck like hell, but in his own zone, he's not very good either. It blows my mind when I watch this hockey team that so many guys could just be the same. They all have the same issue. They all just aren't physical. They don't work to get the puck back. They only want to look for the stretch pass. They're blowing the zone. Let's just work to get the puck back. They just don't do that. And it's every single guy. It's every guy. I don't get it.
We talked about this last week. It's the complete inability to adjust in game and be able to recognize the style your opponent is throwing at you and figure out a way to adapt and either respond to your opponent or take the game over your way. And they don't do that. Like, to your point, they play the skilled stretch pass game where the forwards don't really come back and help the D, and that's all they know how to play. And that's all they I guess look like they want to play. So it's like the coach can be behind the bench like emphasizing the system adjustments and try this, try that, but these guys have to decide that like that's what they're gonna do. And like it's just like I'm starting to get to the point is like where I'm starting to believe like you're never gonna get William Nylander to buy in and do that. I just don't know if that's possible. I know I'm emotional right now, and so I'm probably like being a bit extreme, but it's just like it's so frustrating. I completely agree with the points you're making. It's just like, when are these guys just gonna figure out that like when your little fancy stretch pass game isn't working, you gotta make an adjustment. You gotta bear down. You gotta work a little harder. It's like I feel like a broken record. Like we're saying this every week,
beating a dead horse every week, coming in here and being like, this team's too soft. They can't adjust. They can't forecheck. They're not physical. And I hear like, oh, the game's skill. The game's speed. Well, clearly it's not all skill, and speed, because you look at the Washington Capitals right now, who are just dummying their way into the playoffs.
Look at Tampa. Look at Tampa. Like Tampa's the perfect. Tampa is the model that the Maple Leafs are aspiring to go after, okay? Tampa doesn't have any like big Tom Wilsons, right? They've got just a bunch of like quality skill players. And when you say physical, everyone gets in a huff and is like, oh, well, it's a part of the game's not in anymore. You gotta be skilled wins. It's like, listen, every player on the Tampa Bay Lightning, even their smallest one, is first on every puck. They're first into the offensive zone. They outskate you. They want it more. That's what we mean by like physicality. They're not afraid to go in and give you a little shove off the puck. And it's like it doesn't. Nobody on the Tampa team's out there laying anybody out with big hits, but they win all the battles along the wall and under the goal line, and just like it's like they're relentless like that. And that's what we're talking about. That's what the Leafs don't do. They play a periphery, like soft style, which looks great when you're playing the Edmonton Oilers, but when you're in the postseason trying to compete to win a Stanley Cup, you're not going to do it playing that style. And I don't know what it's going to take to get it through these guys' heads.
What's so frustrating about Tampa too is even if you take away like the whole physicality conversation about some Lightning players, even they're skilled guys, but they work hard. But the thing about the Tampa Bay Lightning that frustrates me is even if they didn't work hard, like the Leafs are a really skilled hockey team, but they're not as skilled as the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like if you give the Tampa Bay Lightning a couple power plays a game, like that's 1 or 2 goals on you right away. And the Leafs, as skilled as they are, they're not that skilled on the power play, and they don't dominate you offensively as much as they do. So with Tampa, they have more skill than the Leafs, I think, right now, or their skill is playing at a level that the Leafs aren't at right now. And you add that in with some work ethic, and it's like, this is why this team is where they're at and why they're having one of the best seasons a team has had in this league in a long time, because they're just as skilled as the Leafs and they work twice as hard, and their goaltending is phenomenal and their coach is a beauty.
So like, do you buy into like I'm starting to, like, you watch the Bruins and you watch the Lightning, like seasoned teams, right? So do you still think that the Leafs are just a little too young? Like, they are still kids. Like, man, like Morgan Rielly turned 25 the other day, and it's like I speak about him like he's 35, like a veteran in the league and all that sort of stuff. It's 25-year-old kid. Yeah. So it's like,
well, the argument can be made that they are young because, after all, it's only their 3rd year in the league. But the thing that concerns me about it though is, yeah, they're young, but like they don't play that style that we're desperate for, or they don't show any like flashes of it. Like Auston Matthews can go out and score 50 a year if he wants to, but so far, Auston Matthews hasn't shown me that he could be the type of guy in April to get the job done in the playoffs. Like he just, you know what? He's a franchise player. He's scored a ton of goals since he's been in the league, but just nothing so far has shown me that this guy has what it takes to bring it in the playoffs. And it's just, yeah, they can grow up and be more mature. Look at Ovi. It took Ovi forever to win a cup because he was really immature and had to grow up a little bit. And then that team kind of formed around him, and bing, bang, boom, there's a Stanley Cup. So, yeah, the argument can be made that they're really young, but what troubles me is where's that hunger? Where's that style of play that's going to get you over the hump? Because so far I haven't seen too many signs of it.
That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. And the rant that we go on, it's like Babcock doesn't help himself, and we'll talk about him in a minute again, but like these guys are going to be the ones who have to decide that like we need to step it up a little bit here. We've got to go out and be a little tougher to play against. And until they do that, man, it's just like, I don't know. Like you've got tons of examples of teams in your division that are ahead of you, and you just like, you watch film and you see like how they play, and it's just like, why can't you guys? And it's just like, if you're going to say, well, that's just not the DNA of the team, it's like, well, you're going to have a hard time winning this division then, because you got the Bruins in here and you got the Lightning, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to go to that extreme and say that like they're never going to. Like, I think that the age and maturity of their superstars is a big reason why it's sort of taking them a long time to quote unquote mature. But it is discouraging, buddy. There's no two ways about it.
Rob, my brother, got a little question for you.
What's that, Ryan?
If people are unaware about the Talking Buds podcast, where can they hear us? Where can they find us?
Well, Ryan, they can hear the show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. They can also follow our daily posts on Instagram at
Talkin' Buds Podcast,
on Twitter at
Talkin' Buds Pod, and do not forget to hit that little subscribe button and leave a little 5-star review and be a absolute bod.
Thank you for the support, everybody.
Now, let's get back to the Toronto Maple Leaf podcast for all the buds. This is the Talking Buds Podcast.
You know what? I'm just gonna. My opinions of Babs have been well documented on this show, so I'm gonna let you go first, and I want you to give me your impressions and how you're feeling about the head coach right now.
Mike Babcock. We always talk about, like, we just talked about the systems, and we are hoping that he can see what other people are seeing and he can implement a good system. And that's all well and good. But my biggest problem with this guy is if you're a good pro, you are going to get favored beyond belief, and ice time will always be available to you, and you will always be one of his guys. And it's driving me insane because I don't care. At some point, being a good pro isn't enough. It's not enough. So these Connor Browns, these Patrick Marleaus, and tonight, like, the fourth line was out there a ton, and that's fine. The game was out of reach. They were working hard, but it's you're starting to see, like, you think there's a reason why he had to go down to Arizona to talk to Auston Matthews last summer.
Well, Ryan, at this rate, he's gonna have to go down there again.
At this
summer.
point, he's gonna have to go around the whole team, because I'm sure a lot of guys are sick of him right now, because it's just. You could just see it. Like, we don't know him personally. We're not in the room. But if you just follow his press conferences and the way he carries himself in the media and every interview you hear him in, his shtick would wear thin after a while. The whole drivetrain, good pro, will before the skill, start on time, the six game sections. Like, it's just, at some point you'd be like, Mike, just shut up, stop following your principles, and coach with a little emotion. To me, he coaches with no emotion. He coaches by his own little playbook that he has stashed away somewhere. It's called Mike's Unwritten Rules, and he's going to follow those rules no matter the circumstance, because
that playbook hasn't gotten you out past the first round in years. And sure, you win a gold medal, you win 2 gold medals in a World Cup when you've got the best hockey teams ever assembled. I'm not taking that away from him. The guy has those on his resume. Good for him. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Deserves it. But like, this is absurd. Like, you are not putting the best possible lineup on the ice. Like, I don't care about right shot, left shot. Marty Marincin should not be on the ice over Justin Holl. Period. End of discussion.
It's a good pro. Like, I can't say it enough. Like, it's just, he follows this guideline in his head of how he should do things, and no matter what the situation is, he's not going to react emotionally to it. He's going to stick to what he believes in, and he's so stubborn that he almost gets in his own way sometimes. And I think he's a great coach? Yes. I do. I think he's a great guy too. I don't think he means bad. Like, he seems like a good dude. He cares about everyone. But at some point, you gotta let go of what you believe in, and you just gotta go with your gut and some emotion, because I don't see any of that in his coaching. I see no emotion in his coaching, no emotion in his decision making. It's, if you're a good guy and he likes you for some reason, whether that's on the ice or off the ice, or if you're in the gym, if he somehow connects with you, you are going to be one of the favorites on the team, and you're going to continue to see ice time like Connor Brown has, like Patrick Marleau has, like Marty Marincin, not just this year, but the past couple years, and why some guys are going to take a long time. Like, you look at Frankie Corrado. I know Frankie Corrado wasn't a very good defenseman, but like, it was clear that Babcock just no interest in that guy, no interest in Hall, no interest in Levo. And it's just a pattern. If we've been with him long enough, you're recognizing his patterns. He's just the most stubborn guy around, and it's starting to piss people off at this point.
Oh yeah, Jeff Blair on The Fan has been on the Babcock is might be overrated train for a while. I saw Dangle take a shot at him on Twitter tonight. Like, it's people are starting to jump on this bandwagon that I've been on for months, just to give myself a little pat on the back. But like, and you alluded to it earlier with Matthews. I'm holding Mike Babcock. He takes the majority of the blame for Matthews' lack of production in recent weeks, because the poor guy has had a revolving door of right and left wingers all year. And it's just like, listen, I heard this point made today and I completely agree with it. John Tavares has 38 goals. He's gonna set new career highs for himself, okay? If you looked at the highlights of Johnny T's 38 goals this year, how many times after he scores does he turn around and point at Mitch Marner? A lot. And Matthews, he's not going. And right now, like, he got the nice goal tonight, and hopefully that kind of starts getting him going, but he hasn't looked like himself in the last 5-6 games. He needs to be put with someone who can hang with him. When I look down this roster right now, I see Nylander as that main guy. They've worked well together in the past. They need to be put together, and there's 14 games left. They need to be put together, Ryan, and they need to have time to rekindle that chemistry they've had in past seasons, because that's what's going to help you get over the hump against the Bruins. And tonight, he puts Nylander with Matthews, not due to the logic I just stated, because Kapanen is sick and can't go. And I love Kasperi Kapanen. I do, but they've gone a little cold, so let's try. And we know that Marner, Tavares, Matthews, Nylander is a pretty good 1-2 punch to go into the playoffs with. That's what we should be doing. And maybe move Kapanen down to the third line, give Nazem Kadri somebody to play with, opposed to the two just absolute black holes he's got on his wings. And Brownie's got to go up in the... What did I say last week? I said, when Nazem Kadri comes back, if Trevor Moore goes up into the press box, I'm going to freak out. And what did he do on Saturday night? He put Trevor Moore up in the press box because Brownie's a good pro.
Yeah,
Can't take him out of the lineup. He's a good pro. Guy's done absolutely nothing all year. No, never mind. He got a big goal tonight with 5 seconds left. Got a big goal.
I think we got to be careful, though, because if you remember the last 2 years, we were always complaining about how he would never change up the lines and he would never change up Matthews' line. But the main concern was never Matthews with Nylander. It was always Matthews with Brown and Hyman. That was the line that was kind of like, I don't remember a lot of people being like, oh, Nylander and Matthews cannot be together. And I don't think on paper you would think Johnsson and Kapanen would fit on that line because they're two skilled hockey players that can both score. They're not really setup men, which is maybe the issue.
That's the problem. All three of them are goal scorers. And like William Nylander's a goal scorer too, but William Nylander can handle the puck.
No, William Nylander's a better playmaker than both those guys. And
yes.
But it's just not giving it the chance that drives people nuts. It's just, and even when he does give it a chance, like the one time he put Marner and Matthews together, you already could tell that he hates it so much. And it's only a matter of a period or two before it goes back to the way his brain can relax, the way he wants the lines, because right when he sees Matthews and Marner out there, you could tell in his brain, he's freaking out. He's like, this isn't good. No. And he just has to break them up. And
it's almost like he waits for them to make a mistake so he can separate them. It's like when they go out there and maybe they get scored on, he's like does a little fist bump behind the bench. He's
you get the feeling that he just doesn't want them to succeed almost. Because that's not the way he likes it. And if it's not the way Babs wants it or likes it, then he hates it. He doesn't want to do anything that it's not his idea or he's comfortable with. He is so obsessed with his way of doing things that if he changes it any other way, he can't handle it. And he has to go back to the way he wants things. And it's just starting to wear thin on people because when he first showed up here, he was Mike Babcock, one of the best coaches in the league, highest paid coach ever, great reputation, winner, and now it's 4 years in, and we're starting to get a little sick of the things that he does when he's configuring a lineup, but it's starting to drive people nuts.
I said it last week, I'm going to say it again this week. If they get dusted out in the first round by Boston, Shanny has to have a sit-down conversation with him this offseason. And it's got to be Shanny because he's not going to listen to Dubas. All he does in his post-game press conferences is take underhanded shots at Dubas for not getting him size.
Yeah.
So he's got to... Shanny has to have a sit-down with him and be like, you need to give this team the best possible chance to win every night. And I don't know. I don't know, man. But at the same time, it's like Patrick Marleau. Like, what are you going to do with him? It's like you're talking about giving him healthying him last week, and it's like you can't do that. And like they've got one more year left on his deal. It's like he is just brutal.
Dude, this is the issue with this team is you're watching it and you just want to blame it on one thing, but you can't. There's so many different things because you want to get mad at Babcock, but it's at the same time you're looking at it being like, he's got a lot of the same dudes out here who do a lot of the same things. Like, he doesn't have a lot of variety out here. And then at the same time, you're kind of like, oh, well, they're pretty skilled. They should just kind of suck it up and be better. And you kind of blame it on the players. And then you go out and you see the stretch pass. You're like, oh, maybe Babcock should implement a new system. So it's just like you can never pinpoint the blame on anywhere. It's kind of everything coming to a head, and all of it together is creating a very good hockey team, but not a hockey team that's going to compete for a Stanley Cup.
It really is you're seeing on display a team that has all the speed and skill in the world, but lacks certain intangibles that I believe come with more experience and
some different and some different
yes.
elements into a lineup as well. They're gonna have to find when Patty Marleau finally comes up and he's gone. They have to know that they have to find a different type of player to mix in there. You don't want to get an anchor, but there's a lot of good Patrick Marleau doesn't have any goals this year. He's not potting 20 goals this year. He's go out and get a guy who's going to add something different to your lineup. I know skill's important, but you can't honestly sit in that press box every night and watch the game and be Kyle Dubas and be you can't think you're going to win like this.
Well, I think we all might have gotten a little ahead of ourselves at the beginning of the year with the whole their cup contenders and stuff. And as it kind of plays on, you see that and listen, could they get in the playoffs and could Freddie Anderson go lights out and they go on a run? For sure. But you're starting to see the deficiencies in the way the team is constructed. And I talked about it last week. Jeff Merrick just described it beautifully. And it's just when this team 2 years down the road, when Marlowe's off the books and all three of the big boys have more experience under their belt, that's when you're going to start to see the Leafs come into their own. And you hope that some of the kids they have on the Marley, some of the defensive kids and the Calle Rosens of the world are kind of mature and become what you want them to become. And Gardner's gone and Dermott is only going to get better, and Ron Hainsey's gone and all that sort of thing. Although I don't think Ron Hainsey is honestly, after that watching this Ozhiganov Marincin pairing, I got nothing bad to say about Ron Hainsey right now. But that's when they're likely going to mature into what the Lightning look like now and what the Bruins look like now. And I just think that instead of getting frustrated and being why aren't they, we thought they were cup contenders, it's just they've still got a ways to go. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned through the 18-19 season. 23 weeks of doing Talkin' Buds. That's the biggest lesson I've learned watching this team, is there is still a ways to go in the growth and maturing of their core of star young players.
Yeah, and just we have to make our minds up going forward this season, for the rest of the season as fans, though, are we going to continue to keep getting disappointed and upset because we think this hockey team is better than they're playing and think their cup contenders can actually go on a run? Or are we going to dial back the expectations and be this is a really good hockey team, but if we're being realistic here, maybe we just hope we get past the Bruins and that's just a success for the season? Because it's if you honestly believe that they're going to get through 4 rounds and have a chance to do that, then you can just continue to be upset after games like this and harp on the lack of physicality or the lack of whatever they have. But it's just, maybe we have to dial our expectations back a little bit because we're starting to rile ourselves up for something that isn't going to happen, it's I don't know.
Well, tonight I'm officially making the proclamation, and not even in a negative way, in a positive way, that I'm going to dial back the expectations a little bit. Like I just said, there's still plenty of room for growth.
But can you, though? You?
Yeah, I'm going to. You know what? I'm going to. I am going to dial back the expectations.
So next week when we get on this pod and they are fresh off another 6-1 defeat, what is your reaction going to be?
That there's still a ways to go, and they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to play Boston, and that's just, we'll see the showing that they have in that 7-game series. Ryan, we as a fan base got fed a giant slice of humble pie tonight by the Tampa Bay Lightning, in my opinion. And I know that the people will be like, oh, they had some flu. They just came back from a road trip. It's like, listen, every team deals with schedules. Every team deals with injuries and illnesses and stuff. If they lost 4-3 or 6-5 or 3-2 tonight, that'd be one thing. They got dummied tonight by a superior, more mature, more seasoned hockey team, and that's just the way it is. And we can take a negative approach and say, oh, we spend all year watching this team just to watch them get dummied out in the first round, or we can say, listen, it's about the journey. They got Nylander signed with term. They got Matthews signed with term. They're going to get Marner figured out. Marner's going to make a gazillion dollars this offseason. They're going to get that all figured out. And then Tavares is here with term. So it's like they're going to get this sorted out. And then, like we said earlier, Patty Marleau, God bless him. I know he's a beauty, but he's not effective anymore. So the end of next season, he's going to come off the books, and that'll give them a bit more money to play around with. And they're going to be fine. It's just, this year,
just living in the moment is difficult sometimes.
Yes,
Living in the moment, it's just that's a long time from now, like where we're speaking. Like
yes.
This is a year from now, 2 years from now. It's hard to think that far ahead. I mean, time goes by quickly. Like that dumpster fire of a season where they got the first overall pick, like that seemed like yesterday to me. So it does go by quick, but you can't really blame people for living in the moment and being fans and getting upset. But fans have to make a choice what side they're going to be on and what their expectation is.
All right, and with that, let's move into Bums and Beauties.
It's time to find out who's a bum and who's a beauty. Take it away, buds.
That's right, we didn't do one last week, and what's back this week? Ryan, who's going first, you or me?
Who's going first? You know what? I'll go first, and I'll go with my bum of the week first.
All right.
My bum of the week. It's not a particular person, it's a theory, and that theory is on goaltender rest.
Oh, boy.
And the argument of Freddie Anderson playing a specific amount of games to be ready for the playoffs and not be burned out.
You know what's funny, Ryan? Today, I was so ready to come on this show with you and have a debate about home ice and, like, do you think it matters? And, like, should they be trying to play for it and all this kind of stuff? And, like, resting Freddie or whatever. But after them getting dummied tonight, I'm just like, it's not even in my mind anymore. It's just like we're going to TD Garden for game one. Ready.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know what? But I think they should not quit and they should continue to play and try to get that home ice spot. I don't think it's gonna happen, but they would be silly not to try, and because I think it's really important. But this goaltender rest conversation, like come on, playing a specific number of games. What is the difference between Frederik Andersen playing 58 games to 56 games? Like, what is the difference? Do you think those 2 extra games, unless he gets hurt in those games, obviously, but if he plays those 2 games and he's fine, do you think those 2 games are going to affect the way he plays in the playoffs? That those 6 periods of hockey somehow affect him in such a way that he's just not himself and he's just going to not play well and not be the Freddie we know? Like, I just don't believe that for a second. And I don't work in a sports science department, but, like, to me, there's only so much. Like, sports science can only help so much. And it's just like, come on. Like, these 2 games, these extra rest games that you're giving this guy, like, if you really truly still want to fight for that home ice, then, like, who cares about this certain amount of games he's playing. Like, it's just, maybe we're just running out of things to talk about, and that narrative's just brought up because the media has to talk about something. Us as fans have to talk about something. But I just don't believe for a second that 2 extra games of hockey is going to affect this guy in a negative way. So that's my bum of the week.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think everyone, it's just another thing,
it's almost
Ryan,
just silly talking about it. Like, it's almost just dumb acknowledging it. But it bothers me because it's like, come on, dude. Like, this is a young guy. Like, he's not, like, I know he's not 20, but he's not 40. Like,
he wants to play. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Like, stop. Yeah. Like, ugh.
All right, I'm really gonna pour it on here, but for different reasons. My bum of the week is Mike Babcock. The way he absolutely sewered the Smurf line after the Vancouver game last week and said that it gave, like, he couldn't roll the bench properly or whatever. And it's like just like you play Auston Matthews 15, 16 minutes a night. That's your problem, Mike. Like, just brutal. And that, like, Justin Hall just rotting up in the press box while Ozhiganov and Marincin go out there and just turn the puck over left, right, and center. Like, we just had a whole segment on him, so if you go back and listen to that if you want to hear us get into it again. But Babcock, figure it out, buddy. Put the best roster out there that gives you a chance to win. All right, beauty of the week.
All right, beauty of the week, Morgan Rielly. And I'm pretty sure Morgan Rielly's like leading. If we had to tally all my beauties of the week, he's probably leading for the amount of picks from me. But watching tonight, watching the Tampa Bay back end go to work and the horses they have back there, you really begin to realize that Morgan Rielly is so far and away the only semblance of a horse they have. Like, there's no one else on that deep core that's just anywhere close to being on the level that Morgan Rielly's at.
Oh, dude, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and he leads the league in goals by, he almost has 20 goals this year, and he's taken a significant step offensively this year. 100%. And I know he's not as dominant as he was like earlier in the year, but it cannot be forgotten the improvement on the offensive side of the puck that he's showing, and frankly, on the defensive side of the puck as well. So, Morgan Rielly, you're my beauty of the week.
My beauty of the week, special shout out to Tyler Ennis for the hat trick last week, and also special shout out to Trevor Moore because I just love him and what he brings. But I gotta say that my beauty of the week is Frederik Andersen. Literally, the whole reason why they came back from the Western road trip with 5 of 6 is because of Frederik Andersen. The biggest chance they have of upsetting Boston in the first round is if Frederik Andersen steals them a few games in that series, or goes like Cujo and steals a whole series. So this guy, I firmly believe that the Maple Leafs would be back in like that wild card race with the Habs and the Penguins and the Blue Jackets if Frederik Andersen was not between the pipes. So Freddie Andersen is my beauty of the week.
Yep. You can't disagree with that.
All right, let's do the week look ahead, Ryan. What do we got here? We got Wednesday night. The Chicago Blackhawks come to Scotiabank Arena. That should be a fun one. You know, the Blackhawks play the type of style that the Leafs really jive with, like that wide open chance for chance. So that should be entertaining. Got a little homestand here, and then Philly comes to Scotiabank Arena on Friday. So yeah, they play tonight, and then they play Wednesday, then they play Friday against Philly, and then they play Saturday against Ottawa. So it's like that's 4 games this week.
Yeah, well, you know what? They got to get going here, man. Those are teams that they can beat, and teams that aren't really strong defensively, just like the Leafs. So if they want to hop on a couple victories and play, if they really want to play their style of game, these are 3 hockey teams that are going to allow them to play their style of game. So maybe if we get 5 out of 6 points, or at least get 2 of those wins, I hope they get 3, because if they really want to catch the Bruins, then they got to win these hockey games. And those are 3 beatable hockey teams. So hopefully they don't play like they did tonight. and come out and win those games.
All right, Rye. I think that's going to do it for episode 23. I don't know about you, buddy, but I'm feeling emotionally drained after watching that game and then coming on here and just unloading like that. I'm spent after that.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating coming on here because you want to bring a different take, but I feel like every week we're almost talking about the same thing because it's just so right in front of your face what is wrong with this team, and everyone knows it. Everyone's talking about it, but it's just, you know what? We just got to hope for the best. Maybe we just got to turn into fans instead of analyzers and just hope that they can get 3 wins in their next game.
It's so hard for me to focus on anything other than the first round series against Boston right now. It's like I'm looking at their schedule and it's like for the rest of the season, it's like Chicago, Philly, Ottawa, Nashville, Buffalo, New York Rangers, Islanders, Panther. And it's just like the only thing that matters to me right now is the Boston Bruins. And
yeah, I know. Everyone's thinking ahead to that series.
Yeah,
we can't forget this team was a period away of winning that series last year. We're not going in there expecting a 4-game sweep, or I'm not expecting a 5-gamer. I'm expecting at least 6 games out of these 2 hockey teams in the first round.
Yeah, me too, buddy. I don't think they're going to go in and get dusted out in like 4 games.
It's not going to work like that. It's going to be, they're going to show a little bit of something in that series, but in the end, who's going to have their hand raised, and do we think they have enough to have their hand raised by the end of it?
I can't think of a better note to end this week's episode on, buddy. Thank you, everybody, for downloading. We'll catch you next week.